Welcome back, everybody. It is finally that time. Honestly, I started to get to a point where I felt like I was putting it off. Like there's a definite, I don't want to say finality, because anything can be undone RC wise, but at the same time, you know, I didn't have any issues rebuilding this thing multiple times as it went through its evolution to where it sits today. But yeah, this is, again, it feels strangely like I can't go back. I've got the big pile of parts right over here, and it feels like anything that happens here is final. If at any point you hear me freaking out, mosquito season, which never used to be a thing here, is now very much a thing here, and it started like yesterday, just out of nowhere. Like, there were no mosquitoes, and now they are. I just killed one on my face. Like, I thought I was getting a hair in my eye, and smashed a mosquito into my face. I'm gonna do my best to kind of keep stuff a little bit organized, but like I had said, I don't know. Like, this is a rear bumper mount flipped upside down. I don't know how much of this is going to end up being reused. I mean, aside from the main stuff, chassis brace, servo mount, shock towers, stuff like that. Yeah, rock sliders. I think, and this is just thoughts into the ether at this point, but it looks like, at least for this period of the mental build, as there's quite a bit of teardown involved before we get to that. I think at this point it's going to be rear spools, because I ordered the mile-long shift cable for the second axle. It's like a 274 millimeters, so 11-inch. Like, that's a serious shift cable. I keep losing one of these from each that I take apart. Oh, there it is. And I learned accidentally, through my inability to wait, that I started assembling the rear housing using the parts from the Jenny's axle. I threw a spool in there and found out, I mean, should have done my due diligence, I guess. So this is a normal diff cover, and the holes, they line up, but as you can see there, the diff cover for the TRX-6 rear axle is a completely different thing. I don't know why I didn't assume that it would be, as, like, I mean, look at that compared to that. So it's a completely different housing, completely different. So, I mean, it's not as if this thing is going to be running today. My ambitious goal would be to get this to slider status. Get this stuff mounted in these. I don't hope for any more than that. I'm hoping against hope that I can get the front clip off sort of complete and then slap that in there. I'm going to have to reconsult the internet. Oh, this battery is going to go dead. I got the one blinky light. Let's see. Let's Whee. Yeah, and see, that's how quickly my thoughts move. Just gone. I do want to mention to others, as much as myself, my hope is, as I said, rear spools, and I thought for a moment about leaving this guy locker and then just having a spool in the rear, but again, that still restricts me to a 5-channel. And I really want to put this on the Radio Link 4-channel. So for today, you know what? I'm going to leave those in. Let's see if we can get the rear clip off sort of connected. If I do indeed decide that rear lockers are a must, I will get at the very least, I will get a receiver for my Radio Link RC6, which would solve any problems there. But I don't know. Like I say, I don't... Basically... Oh, I gotta keep an eye on... Oh, look at... That's not an extra piece. Oh, that's the, nice. Let me get another piece pulled off here. Completely a non-issue, but worthy at least of pointing out. Here's the panhard attachment, and it used to have a little tabaroo like that went off to bolt to the inside of the tower. Luckily and or unluckily, I had to buy a whole set of 4 just to get the 2 intermediates, so I have a new front tower and panhard mount. So, I mean, I understand their thinking here. This tower and that tower are the same tower, so they just have this little bit bolt over. That is not, I mean, that is not a lot of attachment area, so I can see why that broke. One more. Pulling a TRX-4 apart is not bad. Some of the small issues are, I wish I had pulled a stock one out. The servo mount has 2 little pins on that like just stick out and go into holes in the rails. And getting those out, to get this out, you got to pull the whole. You got to pull the whole middle of it off because it's kind of pinched in there. I get it, but at the same time, you know. And then we pulled this off. So the front locker is going to stay. It's there. It doesn't really require much. I also think, see this one, this is what I've been thinking on this for a couple days. The 2-speed. It's effectively unusable. This power plant, it's so much that, I mean, I can't can't imagine myself using the second gear. I effectively don't use it now. I don't know if the addition of another axle is going to just cause me to start using second. At the same time, I'm like, well, but what if you take it off? And then you're like, damn, I miss that second gear, which I don't use. Who knows? I mean, I feel like this is going quickly enough, but at the same time, part one of this process could just be me disassembling Jolly Green. What did I take out? Yeah. Trying to get that. Boy, I put a lot of thread lock on some of these. Okay, how much are we still attached? Locker cable. That's it. What is that? I don't. Oh no, yeah, I put it. There's an alloy locker mount, so I've definitely taken these parts out before. I wish I had another bin, but for the moment, we will put this right over there. Don't let me forget that I put that in there. Then we get our good friend Negisaurus. Pop that off. Yeah, after I got looking at how the connection for the dual rear lockers, I'm like, yeah, I could probably make that. It's basically just instead of a ball there, it has a ball straight under. So this is two for the rear. What I don't get is, where does the other locker cable go? As I'll be damned if I know where it went. I have that part. I don't throw stuff like that away. It's not in the TRX-4 box. I haven't looked everywhere, but I've looked a lot of places for it, and I can't find it. What I did do is look it up on the Traxxas site, and it's the exact same part. So I don't know. I don't know. We will get to that bridge if we have to. I did find the OE servo mount, and there, oh, it's only on one side. That little guy right there is what makes it to where you can't, like, it's still, like, this is like disassembled, and it won't come out because of that little guy. Like, these are really, oh. So, should be able to get the front clip off now. Oh, it's a ball. Now let's take it off this way. Let's make stuff fall apart. Oh, that was weird. Hey, there you go. Rear end looks like just 2 screws to get that off. As far as the transmission goes, coming back around to that, I don't think the 2-speed is called for, but it's already built. It's already in there. And I guess I could just lock it out. The smart way to go about this is probably leave the 2-speed alone. The other option I was considering is disassemble this guy, because I have an aluminum, there's a full aluminum gearbox in there, and I haven't had a single problem with it. And it has the aluminum, well, I mean, it's got the aluminum 2-speed stuff, which I still think probably unnecessary. But you know, it's not expressly about it being less work, but you know, It's less work. Okay. Oh. How much brassy is on there? That's 1.5 pounds for the front axle shock towers lower links. I mean, if we were to weigh, okay, so stock axle's about 7 ounces. And if we were to weigh this with the packaging and this, yeah, we're still it's a 0.5 pound. There's about 0.5 pound of brass in there. I just noticed. I didn't even remember. This has got the, I think Samix or Triol. One of them. It's got the Triol brass suspension mounts, which is probably good. The amount of torque probably would have torn that off by now. I mean, there's a visible amount of wear on these front universals. Not surprisingly. Yeah, the more parts I take off and the more I mess with it, the more I think there's a lot here I don't need. And Jolly Green has already kind of gone through this. What am I doing? In the time when he was a Defender, I had the Traxxas lighting kit on there. There was a whole bunch of stuff. So Jolly Green has already once gone through a bit of a weight purge. He had more brass on him. And I took that brass down to what's on the front axle and these lower links. Oh, come on. That should be the clip. Oh, locker. So what I will attempt to do is use the new rear housing from Jenny's. This guy right here, and assemble the spool from the new parts to go in there. I will check to see what I might have parts for portal boxes, seeing as there's brass on the front. And if I can just reassemble some portal boxes, I can try to put this axle together and then leave this axle completely alone. That way, if I do decide to go lockers, there's a lot less disassembly involved. I have the locker that I pulled out of this to put the spool in here. So I have all the parts to build 2 lockers. But I honestly, I mean, as cool as they are, I don't know if it's going to be necessary. And, oh, come on. And there's the rear clip. I don't think I would just prefer not to put any of these back in. I think I use one of them. I think I run the one cable for the hobby wing through there. Samix out. Surprisingly, that felt genuinely strange. Yeah. I don't know if that's stripped out or what. That is really caught in there. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's... no, it's not going to focus. That's the end of that guy. He must have been bound up a little bit on the chassis. Like, all his threads are gone. And also, I noted... I don't know, it might have gotten a little tweaked. Both of these holes are a little... You can see the transmission when I pulled the bolt out. Like, this whole side is a little bent. Yeah, this has only been apart like twice, and it's reasonably scarred up. I think it's just two more to pull the other side. Let's see how this one goes. He's okay. Yeah, I think it might have, I think that other side might have taken a pretty good hit at some point. Alright, let's just pull the box off. I think I have the parts to at least fix this. There was a steering servo in here for a little while, but the cable was so short, and I don't know, I guess I didn't want to run an extension. Oh, I can unplug all this. Take the servo off. Alright, there's that guy. There. I would also like to, one of my quests is to clean up the wiring on this. And methinks, at this point, removing a bunch of servos is probably a pretty good way to... That is dielectric grease, to stop water intrusion. And I've never driven this on a damp day, so I don't know what levels I'm going to go to in terms of waterproofing either. I kind of want it to be a little bit stripped down. So as I take it apart, the idea of less servos on here becomes more and more attractive. I'm not even paying attention to what's plugged in where. I've done this a couple times. Ugh. Yeah, there's going to be quite a lot of off-camera cleanup of parts here coming up. Little simple green. Also, as much as I appreciate a good length servo lead, and I don't really like committing to cutting the ends off and putting new pins on them, the lead length on these little, what are they, 2065s? I mean, yeah, they're a foot, at least. I don't know what application they would be in where you would need a lead that long. Also, if I don't bother with receiver box, I can mount the receiver on the same side as the speed control, and then that won't need an extension. I do love the clear servo tape. Highly recommended. You can get a roll on Amazon. It's pretty cheap. It's sold under so many names. This might actually be Racing clear servo tape. It just, like, when you need to take it off, switch is stuck on there. You give it a little turn, just pops off, and then to remove the residue, I mean, I'm sure most people know about this stuff already, but you just peel it off. It's like those things they give you fake credit cards and envelopes. That's not in terrible shape. That gives me the idea that these don't really come in contact with anything very much. So, I was like, we should almost have this out of the rails. These are hardwired together, so I cannot cannot remove the speed control from the middle here without taking the motor out. And I think, again, I'm going to go very Spartan here. I have a number of aluminum motor mounts, and I will quite likely stick with one. I'm not sure which, but in place in the vehicle right now, that looks pretty good. That hasn't been opened up in a good long while. There's a little dust in there, but other than that, looks pretty good. There is the real problem of the Hobbywing 3300. That's the smallest pinion you can fit on there, because there's that monster of a 5mm shaft. That is a really heavy motor as well, I note. So, back to the other rambling. So this motor mount, which is, it's fine. I kind of like this style rather than the sleevey insert bit. But I genuinely preferred the KYX version, as the cover, when the cover comes off, like you can see a pinion adjustment problem there, whereas here it's all the way back. The problem was, and still is, that this guy does not play well. There was something about it not playing well with this guy, with the metal housing. I'm not faulting the metal housing specifically. The metal housing is how I ended up with Daphne, because when you buy one of these, there's about $60 when I bought that one. When you buy one, it comes with a full set of gears on the inside. So I had enough parts to just put a whole second gearbox together. And if I said, well, if I have a whole second gearbox, I might as well just piece together a whole other TRX-4. And then I ended up buying a sport kit anyway, because that's the economy. That is the Traxxas economy, which is, it's cheaper to build a whole, to buy a TRX-4 Sport and just use the parts you need, than it is to buy a la carte parts. Also, while we're here, I think this is one of those parts that, I don't know, I just like to throw aluminum at stuff. Then I was looking at it, and, you know, it's about the same height. I don't really see that there's any appreciable weight reduction. The only thing I like this for is it has holes in the bottom, so the dirt falls out. I mean, it doesn't stop how this guy ends up. But, like, would he be more dirty? I have a brand new, unused center chassis. So I feel like just putting that in, if just for the continuity of the other new plastic center chassis. I'm going to have to go with plastic diff covers, because that's, I think, yeah, racing makes a big brass diff cover, and for the rear, and I don't get that. I don't get that. I'm gonna clean that off before I start bolting it back together. As I was pulling this apart further to try to clean it a little, it also occurred to me that another reason that I think this guy is going to go in the bin right now is that it never sat comfortably with me that, like, somebody must make it, but I've never seen an aluminum one of these. Like, why, when they make these, why don't they just make that one piece? Because the joint where they go together, that's a nightmare. That's an absolute nightmare. So, particularly compared to that. So, I mean, I think aesthetically, if just aesthetically, Jolly Green is going to return more to a stock format, aside from everything here, like that front end with the weight and everything. I'm happy with that. He's gonna get a changed diff cover, I think, because the back one is gonna be plastic. So I mean, we will see. But looking at this guy, I don't know. It's so like, oh. Also, made an executive decision. This had already fallen out of my brain. I was pulling the MIPs off to get into more cleanery, and I have concluded, final decision. These are going to go on Daphne the Sport now. They are the correct wheelbase. They will slap on there. Because, again, I think, like, not to minimize anyone that has actual clinically diagnosed OCD, but like, I have to, like, armchair psychologist, like, it would bother me so much with two of those on there and then this in the middle. So luckily, I looked through the TRX-4 driveshaft bin, and not including what's currently on Daphne the Sport, I have enough parts to assemble 5 drive shafts. So I have 7 Traxxas drive shafts. So I will pull the ones off of Daphne, throw those on there to see if I need any parts from Daphne's drive shafts. And I think now, the more I look at it, I think what is going to happen here is I am going to pull that. I'm going to pull that apart, open it up, take the 2-speed bracket off. I'm going to open this up and get in there, and I'm going to build them. But I think what I want to do is, like, I'm probably going to need some sort of diagram to look at. I am going to look at the difference between the high and the low gears and see if I can't just, like, I want to see the difference. I know I've looked this up before, but my brain has erased it. What is the actual difference in gearing between a 2-speed and a Sport? It was my understanding that the Sport is, like, in the middle between the 2 speeds low and high. So basically what I think what I want is the single speed box with the low from there. I realize that this is approaching just sacrificing parts for no reason. But as I mentioned when I started this, I don't think I'll be building another TRX-4. I'll have 3 TRX-4 based, and I think that's plenty. I'll have a full all lockers Defender. I'll have a Sport with spools, and I will have this ridiculous contraption, whatever it turns out to be. So even without going to edit, I realize how far this has gone already. This is going to take some time. But just remember, folks, you all asked for this. So it's this amount of time just to pull it apart to here. I realize it was recklessly overambitious to think that I could put anything together in part 1 and indeed it was. So we're gonna wrap part one up right here. I apologize for the fact that this is nothing but just a guy on a bench taking a TRX-4 apart. And now part two is probably going to be a guy on a bench uh, assembling and disassembling two gearboxes side by side. But I figure do that work now so that I don't have to do that work later. So I'm going to get this cleared out of the way, and I'm going to try to get cracking on that, and then I'll try to get cracking on. Well, I'll also I'll look around and try to find the parts for this. Most importantly, get that axle assembled, and then I can start to, in earnest, put chassis parts back together. I don't know. I don't know if the skirts are going to go back on. I don't know what body is going to go on. I neglected to mention to measure the width. I guess I can kind of loose fit parts to see what the width is, because most bodies seem to be coming out about 8 inches wide. And here I go. I can talk about this more later. Anyway, this is Big Mean Jolly Green Part 1. A guy talks a lot while he takes a TRX-4 apart. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay tuned for parts 2 through infinity, as they will definitely occur. I don't know how long this is going to take to do, but I feel like it's going to be a while. So tune in for that, everybody.